So, all right. Give us a countdown of three. Well, let me fix that screen. Go away. Okay. All righty. Three, two, and one. Well, hello everyone. It's Connie Pheiff, and it just seems like a while that I've been on here with you and chatting away. But we've been super busy setting up for our second location back on the East Coast. Many of you know that I am from the East Coast, and I'm just super excited that we're going to be making that happen. But we're still going to be keeping our location in the LA area. So for my East Coast, West Coast fans, we're going to be coastal, bi-coastal, as my son had said to me. So I want to make sure keep listening because we have a lot of really fun things coming up, a lot of really exciting guests, including today's guest. But first, I just want to just touch a little bit on the show. So as I was traveling over the last couple of weeks, of course, you're traveling, you're always out talking about your business, talking about what you do, and that's, as entrepreneurs, that's what we do. So a lot of people were asking about the show and what the show is all about, and so I shared with them, our loyal listeners come back over and over and over again because they are entrepreneurs, or sometimes they're folks that are still in corporate that are ready to get out. They want to move on to that next phase, that next season of their life. And we are here to provide that information for you because that's how I got here 12 years ago. I was a corporate executive, corporate CEO, and I came at this kind of through the back door. It wasn't my plan, but I was CEO for Girl Scouts of Penns Woods Council, and major realignment, major merger went on. I was the project manager to make it happen and worked myself right out of a job. So many of you understand and know what that's all about, but I've learned how living and creating that entrepreneurial lifestyle so you can live where you want, move around and work with who you want to work with, make the kind of money that you want to make. I mean, there is no limit. The sky is the limit. So that's what we're all about. So remember to keep on sharing because sharing is caring, and we care all about you. So our show today, our guest for today, we talked about entrepreneurs. She is an entrepreneurial fixer. She puts health back into healthcare, which when I was doing some background and some research, I thought that was really, really an interesting way to put it, especially when it comes to entrepreneurs and understanding that number one essential element that every entrepreneur needs to know and needs to have. So welcome to the Connie Pheiff Show, Sylvie McCracken.
Thank you so much for having me, Connie. I'm glad to be here.
I just excited when I was reading a background and just learning a bit more about what it is that you do. I mean, it was such a fit with our show. And again, being an entrepreneur yourself, talking about, the essentials for an entrepreneur, the passive income, and everything that goes into the life of an entrepreneur. I talk about a lifestyle entrepreneur, and so you're not sitting in one specific place. And I know you're not sitting in your home office right now.
Yeah.
So I mean, what do you see? I mean, the benefits as being an entrepreneur versus going into a corporate every day, clocking in the 9 to 5. With some people, that's what they need to do. That's for
Definitely.
them. But for you as an entrepreneur, what benefits do you find in it?
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, the location independence that you're talking about was a very big drive for me to be an entrepreneur because I'm not, shying away from hard work. I worked hard in my day job. I work hard as an entrepreneur, I would say as well. I always find the next challenge. So as soon as we leverage something that I can sort of fire myself from a certain department, I just go find something else to go ahead and fill up that time, mostly because I love what I do. So it's definitely not a I want to work 2 hours a week and then sit on the beach the rest of the time type of
Mm-hmm.
thing. But I do want that flexibility to, like I said, before we started recording, this weekend I spent it with one of my girlfriends who, at this point, most of my friends are also entrepreneurs. And we had a great time, both really relaxing and just hanging by the pool, but also sharing business ideas and masterminding while we were at it. And then being able to go, again, next week, I have a similar thing. We're in summer here when we're recording. And so being able to go have a little vacation with my kids and another girlfriend of mine who also has kids that will be coming along, who is an entrepreneur as well. So it will be this sort of half vacation, half work. And, we might have to take a phone call or might have to do the thing where we pull out our laptop mid-vacation.
Right.
So it's this sort of integrated life where, we can do this from Florida, we can do this from LA, we can do this from Europe, we can do this from the Bahamas, and we can kind of manage our schedule. So it doesn't have to be this 9 to 5, 50 out of 52 weeks, and we can still get a ton done and make a great impact in the world, and obviously make the money that we need to be able to fund all of that as well.
Right, exactly. I mean, that's it. That's a show. It's a wrap.
Yeah, those are the important vectors, right? If you're making the money that you want, you have the freedom that you want, and you're making the impact that you want, then what else do you need outside of those three
Right.
things?
Well, you made a really good point. Like you said, you travel, and even like I said, the last 10 days I had been traveling every day, every morning. At the end of the day, I was on. Of course, we're always attached, but we also do trips, family trips, where it's for everybody that's on the trip. There are no phones. Everything
Yeah,
gets put away. I mean, you have to disconnect. I mean,
absolutely.
you totally have to disconnect. But when you're on a business travel, and again, you could work anywhere, you can say, well, wait, I got to check in. I got to see what's going on, and, see what's happening. And of course, I have a team around me that I'll just shoot them off an email and, take care of it. Delegation is also important to
Yes.
do, to be able to do that. But the biggest thing that I get, and I'm going to throw this out for you, and it's not something that we had chatted about, but the biggest thing I do get from people. So I work with people. The premise is, up or out. So there's people that are either moving up in corporate in a C-suite, or they really want to get out and they want to build and create that lifestyle business. So
Yeah.
that's my sweet spot. Helping people make that transition. But the biggest question they have, and I want to get your perspective on this. Where do I find my clients? How will people know about me? How will I get hired?
Yeah.
What's your perspective on that?
Yeah, that's a really good point. I think it just depends on, what type, I think figuring out what your model is, what your business model is before figuring out what where you're going to find clients is probably the best way to go.
Yeah.
And so, for us, the reason that we really niched down into that passive income is because, well, first of all, I sort of feel like I had no choice but to choose that business model, because I had a really busy day job at the time. And so the only time I had was evenings and weekends. And I thought, well, okay, consulting is out, because what are we going to do? Consulting at 7, 8 p.m. at night.
Right.
So I felt like that was out. And I also knew that even if by some miracle I had, consulting clients or whatever every night of the week, no matter what I charged per hour, there was no way I could replace that 6-figure salary while being in it. So figuring that out for me was key. And then, what we really do when we teach our health professionals how to create passive income, part of it is obviously finding that audience. And so what we really focus on is we just, Venn diagram it basically on what is their passion and what people want, and figuring out where those two intersect, and really that figuring out in terms of, okay, whether let's say it's weight loss, so we have a lot of nutritionists, dietitians, doctors, et cetera, that might teach, something like, to just simplify it, something like weight loss, and figuring out where are those clients already hanging out? What publications are they reading? What, online influencers are they already following? Where is there that synergy, so that you can kind of go find them, go hang out where they already are, and put your blog posts or whatever it may be in front of the audience that already exists, versus building one from scratch.
Absolutely. I mean, that is the key. Find out where your customer is hanging out and go there.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's not, I mean, it could be in their industry. If they have an industry event that they go to, go to the event. Or if it's, maybe somebody in that industry, maybe again, an association or something that they relate to, it's relatable to them. That's where you want to hang out. And that is one of the things that I do see people make as a mistake. They feel, okay, I'm part of associations, or I'm going here, I'm going there, trying to meet people, but it's the wrong place to be. It's the wrong place to be hanging out. So that itself is just great, great advice. And the other thing is, you hang out with them and you build those relationships with them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I don't care how many blog posts you do or newsletters you do or Facebook connections that you make. If you're not building a relationship with someone, they're not going to work with you.
Mm-hmm. True. Absolutely true. I think that you touched on something really great there, Connie, because the reality is that those are those things that are not overnight. Those are those things that are not quick fixes. That's something that you have to, that's a little bit more of the long game. And it's just being a genuine human being, right? It's, it's not being transactional, and it's really for focusing on that long game, I think is really important.
It is. And unfortunately, a lot of people come into us and like, oh, I want the overnight success, or like you briefly touched on, or I only want to work 2 hours a day.
Yeah.
It's like,
And especially in the beginning, I would say that's impossible. In the beginning, I think, the cost of entry of entrepreneurship is you're not only not going to work 2 hours a day, it's, you gotta work. If you first of all, you need to have a day job that's supporting you or something.
Right.
You're going to be working for free on every hour that you are spending on top of that for a minute. That's just
right. That's just the way it is. I remember when I first started, and like I was saying, I wasn't planning. I mean, I thought I would retire and go off into the sunset still as CEO, at the Girl Scouts, and that, didn't happen. But when I stepped into this and trying to figure out what I was going to do, I was like, okay. And then I was interviewing. Oh my God, I got tired of interviewing. It was either you were too overqualified or whatever, I wasn't qualified. And so I finally said, okay, I'm just going to start my own business. And it was because an organization called me from the community that I was living in back in Pennsylvania and said, could you come in and do a program for us? And they paid me substantial money to do it. And I thought, I think I got a business.
Amazing. That's amazing. I love that.
And that's how I started down. Now, 12 years later, and again, a couple reiterations later, I finally found my sweet spot, and again, love what I'm doing. And that's the other thing too. You have to really love and enjoy what you're doing to stay in this, because you have to stick to it. You have to be here for the long game. Yeah. And if you're not, and if you're looking for immediate gratification, it might not be the life for you.
Yes, for sure. Agreed.
Yeah. So what is the number one essential for every entrepreneur?
Oh man, it's so hard to pick one. But I would say, really, I mean, I think passive income is something that we, that we focus on a lot. And the reason for that is because just like, we just, one of our new clients, I just met her not that long ago, maybe a couple weeks ago. And she is a chiropractor, and she recently broke her wrist. And so of course her business, like it's a very classic example, of how that business can go from 60 to 0 real quick, because all of a sudden you literally cannot practice anymore. You cannot see if your entire business is dependent on your one-on-one time, whether it's your wrist or not, like, obviously for a chiropractor, her physical body is important as well. But even if it's you're sitting across the desk consulting with someone, if you are not awake, alive, not on vacation, etc., you will not make a dollar. And the reality is that that's a lot of pressure, and it's really an outdated and unsustainable business model. And it can take not much of an accident, not much of a pebble in the road to really destroy that income stream, right? Like we saw with the client. And so the reality is passive income in some form, in some way, shape, or form, and even if it's not 100% of your income stream, you need to have at least some passive income. Otherwise, it's like having no insurance, Right.
So what are some examples
of passive income?
Yeah.
So I think the simplest one would be to have something in a digital form. So a PDF, like an ebook, for example, is the most simple way to start for someone that doesn't know. Let's just assume you're starting from scratch. you're not an entrepreneur yet, you kind of want to be an entrepreneur, you have no audience, you have no website, you have no knowledge of any of these things, the easiest thing to start is having your expertise in a product like a PDF that
Right.
people can purchase and download at 3 a.m. on a Saturday, on a Tuesday, when you're on vacation, when you're asleep, when you're at your day job, or whatever else. So that's my preferred place to start. Of course, we have multiple different passive income streams. We've got, in our health business, we have supplements that we sell, et cetera, et cetera. There's video courses that if they require no support, if that's the way you want to go, that could be a passive income stream, or we have some hybrid income streams. So we have some that, part of the program is delivered passively and the other part is delivered by a coach that, could be you or could be someone you hire. So that's kind of a few of the most common ones. But again, I think that the first one, the easiest one to start with, is having your expertise in written form in a way that someone can purchase anytime 24/7.
Absolutely. You want that residual. You want that monthly income coming in time and time. And then everything else is just, the icing on the cake, so to speak.
Yeah.
I learned that myself the hard way. When I first got into the business, I was first coaching and working with executives, and I started speaking, and a couple of years into speaking, and I was on top of my game, and I was out speaking every week. I was making well beyond six-figure income. I lost my voice.
Oh, wow.
I had no voice for over 6 months. No
Wow.
voice. And it was like, of course, I lost. I lost, my game. I was totally off my game. Engagements that I was booked for, some that I never got paid for, or some I actually had to give money back because I couldn't deliver. Oh, it was awful. It was awful. So then all right, we have to come up with another way to do this that's going to support me and supplement in addition if something were to happen. So for me, because that happened, it actually caused damage to my lungs. And in turn, I now have asthma. And that's why sometimes I get real scratchy like I am right now. So when I had to back away from speaking, because when I speak, I lose that energy. I don't have that full flow of my lungs to be able to get out there and perform at the top of my game. So I had to figure out, okay, what can I do to change this? And what I did, now I'm a publicist and I'm an agent and I represent other speakers to get them out there speaking. And so I took my skill, I took what I know, and I just turned it around, and I flipped that around for our agency. But it was a scary time, like you said, and if you don't have that insurance in place, my insurance, fortunately, was my husband, who he works at corporate, so he was able to take care of us during that time. But it's scary, if I didn't have him, I don't know what would have happened.
For sure.
Yeah,
For
so
sure.
I don't know. And we need to take a really quick break. And then when we come back, I want to talk about how you transitioned from healthcare into becoming a healthcare entrepreneur. And we're back, and I am Connie Pheiff, your unstoppable diva. And we are talking today with Sylvie McCracken. And we're talking about how she puts it, putting health back in healthcare, and talking about the lifestyle entrepreneur and what it takes to really be in this for the long run. I mean, this is the long game. I work with individuals from corporate executives, actors, entertainers, a former NFL player I work with, and we just work with all of these individuals, but all of their question or their concern is always, I've done this, I've reached my success, and they were ready for that next, as I call it, the next season in life and where they go. So as you can imagine, I work a lot with baby boomers and Gen X. Gen X are probably the category of individuals that I really work with, but they want to know where they go next. And you did this. You transitioned from healthcare to becoming a healthcare entrepreneur.
Yeah. So, well, my first business was, sharing information about health. So it was information products on health. And, then later we added supplements and all kinds of different things over there. And then naturally, of course, what started happening, I mean, I really feel like all of it sort of just lands. The universe kind of tells you where you should go. And what we had is a lot of nutritionists and doctors emailing us saying, hey, how are you doing this? And after a few different knocks from the universe, then we were like, okay, let's go ahead and create a program and teach other health professionals how to do what we're doing. So that's kind of that's the short story that happened over the course of years.
Well, I think, like you said, the universe was knocking.
Yeah.
And saying, you have more to give over here.
Yes.
What is it? And you've done that. So do you primarily then work with healthcare practitioners?
We do, yeah. So we mostly work with health professionals, which can mean everything from nurses to nutritionists to dentists to doctors of any kind. Really just people that have something to provide in that, health transformation space, whether it's weight loss or Lyme disease or autoimmune disease or, how to get your special needs child to eat properly or this or that. Like there's such a diverse level of topics. It's insane. And I'm sure we haven't even scratched the surface yet with the hundreds that we've worked with. I'm sure there's plenty more topics still to cover.
Sure.
And definitely a lot of different angles on even when we have, similar topics, obviously like weight loss being a good example of there's really 100 different ways to go about it and 100 different approaches. So yeah, it's really fascinating.
So what type of services are you providing for them? Are you helping them create that passive income?
Exactly. So what we do is really we help them in a very simple, we have a couple different programs, but for the most part, we just help them create their passive income stream.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Full. Got it. Okay. Well, now it is time for some straight talk. So, Sylvie, why are you unstoppable? What makes you an unstoppable woman?
I guess what I would probably say is, that probably started from a more negative place growing up, just having a lot of instability growing up and, having to really be resourceful and get things done. And I think it's just become part of my DNA, as it's one of these things where, I have kids to provide for. Now I have a team that I feel really almost like it's a second family.
Yeah.
And my clients as well, I really feel very invested in their success. And so I feel like, this is it's such incredible work we're doing. I really think about not just my clients, but my clients' clients. And that makes me just want to keep going. It makes me want to just, take it to the next level constantly. Like there is no end destination. It's just a journey that never ends. And I love it.
Love that. So, I mean, who's let me put it this way. What are you living your life with intention? I mean, because many of us really have that disease to please, as we call, but are you truly living that life of intention for you?
Yeah, I really feel like it's taken me, I mean, I think it's always an ever evolving journey. And I think there's been a lot of ahas along the way, but I think a big one right now is as my youngest kids are kind of becoming a little bit older and paying a little bit more attention to what I'm doing.
Okay.
I sort of feel like it forces me back into that intention of like, oh, okay, what's the purpose of this again? Why am I, why did this week get a little bit hectic, more hectic and not really like the life that I sort of visioned, and being able to realign a little bit quicker as opposed to letting things get out of hand.
Love that. So are you always open to meaningful feedback from other people?
That's I'd love to answer that in a yes or no way, but I don't think I can. It's a little bit of it depends. So I love feedback, and I also, take it with a grain of salt from who it's coming from. So meaning, like for example, this weekend, like I said, I was with one of my friends and she's got adult children. And so a lot of the best sort of advice that I feel like I got from her this weekend was parenting advice. And I am all ears because she, I feel like she's 10 years ahead of me in that journey and has so much to offer. So I'm like, absolutely. And then of course, if it was someone who hasn't been on that journey, who doesn't have her track record, let's say as a parent, I'd sort of be like, maybe,
Yeah, I get you. I totally do. And yeah, as much as, we try to be open, I know, I guess I'll speak for me, try to be open, but sometimes, I mean, feedback could be mean-spirited, but it could be dangerous. And again, it's also very, very helpful. And again, when I'm looking for feedback as well, I really do want it to be to really be meaningful. And you talk about your kids. I have 5, and
Wow.
I could always go to them, and they will always openly give me their feedback.
Yeah. Yeah, they're good at that. They're absolutely good at that.
And they're adults now, so yeah, they're definitely good. Well, Mom, you want my honest opinion? Yes, give it to me.
Yeah, exactly right. That's exactly right. Yep.
So because I always say, like, who's in your cabinet? Who's your truth
Yes.
tellers?
Yes.
And mine are my kids and my husband. My husband is the same way, and I am to him too sometimes. So, as long as we know that we're doing that with love. And of course, my, close girlfriends and colleagues, there's certain people that you can go to and talk to.
Hmm.
And so, yeah, so definitely like to make sure we have those in our cabinet. So what's been one of your toughest fails then that's taught you to keep moving forward?
Oh my goodness. Oh boy, so many. I'm like, I've got to pick one. Okay. Well,
Mhm.
I would probably say, like for example, is not redirecting or correcting fast enough. So for example, in the case of a mishire, noticing the signs
Mhm.
and not really acting on that fast enough, not being fast enough to let a person go,
Yeah.
not working out. And when I really, the hindsight being 2020, at that point, when it's gone 3 months past when it probably should have gone, really being able to look back and going, you know what, this was not only a disservice to myself, to the rest of the team, to my company, to the
Mhm.
employee who it also wasn't a good fit for. That's probably the thing that's been the hardest for me. And yeah, I would say it's a pretty big fail in terms of it's very expensive. It's very
Yeah.
expensive to take, right? And it's something that you sort of you can learn as much
Mhm.
as you can before doing something, but the reality is you learn in the process of it. You start to identify
Yes.
these things sooner. You get better at it as you go along, and having
Yeah.
difficult conversations is really, it's that avoidance of a difficult conversation.
Mhm.
But it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when.
Yeah, I am so with you there. I had a situation actually a year and a half ago, and I just knew immediately like this person had to go. But she was fabulous. Her work was fabulous, and she was very creative. And of course, my husband, who was also my partner, he's like, "No, we got to give her more time." And then after that, I started having my own negative speak to myself and saying like, what am I waiting for? Just let her go. And then, it just mushroomed into other things. And like, you were saying, it's not fair to other people on the team either,
Hmm.
and they're seeing it. So yeah, that's a tough one. I think that's a tough one for a lot of people,
Hmm.
especially as entrepreneurs, because it's hard to find people who are going to come in and really truly believe on what it is that you do, and then believe in the process, and then really stick with it.
Yes.
So yeah, that it's hard. It is really hard. So yeah, we learn. We move on. We move on from there for sure. For sure. So
Yeah.
will you ever be satisfied? It sounds like you're doing amazing work.
I mean, I feel like I am satisfied and there's always another level. So it's a yes and, right? It's one of these
Yeah.
things of like, how can we be satisfied with what we've got today? How can we be grateful for what we have today
Right.
and also still want more and go for the next level? And I feel like if we can kind of
Mhm.
harness that, that duality, I mean, I feel like that's the sweet spot is, there is no end destination. We are already there and also going to
Mhm.
the next level.
That's right. That's exactly. I love that. And and you said it with such, I'm there and we're going to the next level. The yes and
Yeah.
that's that confidence
Yeah.
that, I mean, you've already stepped over that threshold of that courage, and you're going to make that happen. So
Yep.
if anybody could take that, put something on a t-shirt, what would it say?
It would say you don't need the confidence to start. You need the courage to start. And the
Mm,
confidence will come after, you know?
yes.
So if you're waiting around for confidence to just hit you, that's not how that happens. It's usually just courage, you know? You just feel the fear and you make the jump anyway.
That's right. That's right. I mean, when I first started, I was kind of like, am I going to do this? And I hired a coach, and I drove from Pennsylvania to Nashville where he was located. And I think we had a 5-minute conversation, and I was in. He's like, are you all in the water, or do you just have a toe in the water? I was like, I'm all in. I was like, done.
Yeah.
Conversation, and just one from there.
Yeah.
What's next? What's next for Sylvie McCracken?
What's next? Oh my goodness. Well, I think, in this next quarter or two of the year, really we're working on, removing me from certain other parts of the business. So what's
Ooh,
really been on the docket has been hiring at a more leadership level and being able to hire
okay,
people that can manage others, and get our systems always, we always have systems and processes as one
right.
of the main things that run our businesses, and really refining them to make them even better. As our team grows, they become even
Mhm.
more important so things don't slip through the cracks.
Mm.
And really just helping, clients at a higher level. So we created a new program that we're less than a year into, and it really helps our clients that had already graduated from our first program to really take things to the next level. So it's my pleasure, really, and my honor to really take that to the next level, really refine it, make it as good as we can possibly make it. And that's really what
Nice.
we're working on right now, a little bit of that and just rinsing and repeating.
Nice, nice. Love it, love it. So where can our listeners find out more about you and the work that you're doing?
Yeah, so the best place to start is probably sylviemccracken.com/webinar. And that's, our very recent training that we did on really kind of these 5 steps that people need to make in order to create passive income. That's really the best place to find me. And then on social media, everywhere, I'm under Sylvie McCracken.
Nice, nice. Well, Sylvia, I want to thank you for being here.
Thank you
Um,
so much for having me, Connie.
Truly, truly amazing, unstoppable as we call it.
That's awesome. Thanks so much, Connie, for having
Thank
me.
you. Well, everyone, that's all we have for today. And remember, I love our tribe. I love our family, our members that continue to come back and follow us each and every week. So remember to keep on sharing. And we're always sending out some amazing giveaways. So you keep sharing and we'll keep giving. I'm Connie Pheiff. I'm also a recovering C-suite CEO. And we will continue moving ideas forward and keeping the passion of life activated. And again, if you like what you've seen, what you've heard, and you want to be seen and heard even greater, consider advertising with us. Just visit the conniefeifshow.com for details. And also, if you haven't done so already, check out our talent concierge. And that's where we make the magic happen. It's our best and brightest, our marketing team, our branding team. We work with folks that have been successful in their career and finding themselves at a crossroad and looking to scale into a lifestyle business. Check it out at talentconcierge.co. And remember, we are all unstoppable together. And I'm going to leave you with this thought for today. So, definitions. First definition is grind, which is to perform repetitive tasks over and over in order to attain a goal. Hustle, the only controllable pillar of success. Execution. Stop talking about it and put it into work and get her done. You're listening to The Connie Pheiff Show, and I'm Connie Pheiff, your unstoppable diva. And until next time, activate your power and turn your success, your hard work into profits because you deserve it. See you next time. Bye bye.